We've covered a lot of Sonic games on the past on Positives. Sonic 2006, Sonic Boom, and you know what? Every time I do it, I sometimes come to regret it. It's not because I'm not a fan of Sonic, believe me I am, but there's just a lot of people out there who don't agree with these games being bad. They always say they're really, really good. But you know guys, they are bad, and that's why we find the positives in them, because we want to find the good things about these terrible, terrible games. But now I present you a game that really can't make sense. Sonic the Hedgehog has a sword, and he fights evil King Arthur. Make that one work. Let's find the positives.
2008 at Sega headquarters in America somewhere, probably.
Damn it, gentlemen. We're losing money like there's no tomorrow. Right now, Sega is in a free fall because no one is buying games. Now look, we need solutions. Purple shirt, ideas.
Alright, sir. Why don't we go back to Sonic's roots? 2D platforming with high-speed gameplay.
Yeah.
It worked until we went 3D.
I agree.
Really?
Let's do it.
That's what you want to do?
Yeah.
Huh? You want to go back to the 90s, back to 2D games? Are you a complete moron? Kids are only buying 3D games. God! Raffi, ideas.
Sir, why do we even need to make a new Sonic game? We have so many old IPs, they're just collecting dust. We have Golden Axe. We have Streets of Rage, sir. We have Phantasy Star, sir.
Fantasy Star.
Fantasy
That's a good
Star.
one. Yeah, I love Fantasy Star.
Yeah.
Let's
do it. Let's do it.
Absolutely, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
I knew this would work. My mind's right.
I like this Raffi guy. Only I don't think it's a good idea, because what you want to do is go back to the 90s again like this, asshole. Really? That's what you want to do? We spent millions of dollars getting kids to like a blue hedgehog, and you want to get rid of all of that just so we can bring back some people wearing little clothing swinging axes around. You are a complete idiot. Jimmy, any ideas?
Oh, a good idea would be to do something the kids really like nowadays, like, King Arthur, and it would be, like, him being, like, the evil person, and then Sonic would, like, find a sword, and the sword talks, and then Merlin would be a girl.
Jimmy, that was a fantastic concept. I knew it was a good idea to hire my cousin.
Oh, thanks, sir. I knew you'd like it.
The name, though, we need something that sells it. Sonic versus some warriors, Dark Ages. Sonic versus some Dark Warriors.
Like Black Knight.
That's it. That's the name we need to go with. Gentlemen, today we're gonna be making Sonic and the Black Knight.
Fuck this company! Fuck this door! And you! He said a swear.
Sonic and the Black Knight is the second entry in the Sonic storybook series after Sonic and the Secret Rings, but this game did so poorly that they decided to never release another one in the series again. You're looking at the game responsible for the death of the storybook series of Sonic games. Sonic and the Black Knight has a number of problems, things that are maybe not as bad as 2006, maybe not as bad as Sonic Boom, but they're stupid problems, and problems that should have been addressed way the hell before the game came out. To begin with, this game has a forced camera perspective that locks you in, which I absolutely hate. It becomes a much bigger problem later on upcoming gameplay events. Plus, this has some really super cheesy and random plot about King Arthur. I mean, guys, come on, King Arthur and Sonic the Hedgehog in a game together? I mean, they seriously were pulling at strings at this point. Right at the beginning of the game, you repeat the same level 3 times in the first 20 minutes. In fact, they reuse levels over and over again, not only at the start, but all over the game. It's a lazy way to pad out the length of gameplay, and I don't appreciate that. Sonic 2006 and Sonic Boom didn't do that, and those guys didn't have a lot of time to make those games. They had a ton of problems, but at least they don't repeat the same levels over and over. But in this one, they just do that and just change objects out here and there and enemy placements. I absolutely despise that kind of lazy game making. The controls in this game are really awful. They feel floaty, like you don't have a really good feel on Sonic's movement. But the worst thing about them isn't really the floaty motion, but it's the motion controls themselves. See, usually when you attack in a game, you push a button or something like that. But because this is one of those early on Wii games, they use the waggle to attack things. No, nobody should ever do that. It's terrible. It never ever works out. And in this game, it simply doesn't work at all. Every time you go to attack somebody, you miss them. Or if you do hit them, maybe you didn't hit them at the right time, because motion controls are super imprecise. We've learned these lessons now, but back when they were making this game, it was still a mystery and a test, and everybody wanted to do motion controls. And it's aged terribly. Another really awkward part for me is that all of the townspeople in this game look like little pudgy green garden gnomes. It's King Arthur, right? Isn't that supposed to be just ancient medieval England? Why the hell are all these mystical creatures running around? None of this makes any sense whatsoever. Let's not even talk about the fact that all of Sonic's friends are Knights of the Round Table. Whatever. God, I just can't. Not only does it suck that they repeat levels again and again, but the levels are also awkwardly short. There's one level where you can complete it in about 40 to 50 seconds. For real, under a minute to complete a Sonic level. It's like they didn't even care. Sure, they pad out the levels by repeating them over and over again with different enemy placements and shit, but the fact that they actually make it that short is really lazy. One thing I've always come to expect from Sonic games is that Sonic collects rings. But in this game, he doesn't. He collects fairies and apples. And they get turned into rings somehow. I'm not quite sure how that happens, but he never actually collects the rings. I'm not too certain, but I believe this is the first Sonic game I've ever played where rings aren't a collectible. That's not really a complaint, because that doesn't affect anything. But when I think Sonic the Hedgehog, I don't think apples and fairies. You're Sonic the Hedgehog, you're running really fast down a level, and then you smack into a freaking civilian. There's nothing worse than that. But, well, maybe there is. What if you're attacking an enemy right beside a townsperson, and you're going so fast you can't see where the townspeople are, and you accidentally hurt them? Well, guess what, guys? You get docked points. That's right, Sega made a mechanic where Sonic runs so fast that he actually gets docked points when you can't see what he's doing by an accidental attack. And another thing I really didn't like in the game is that they use rock music. This is just a personal opinion of mine, but when I think of Camelot, I don't think of rock music. Call me crazy, but I don't think John Bon Jovi and Metallica existed back in the days of King Arthur, which is fictional and he didn't really exist, but you know what I mean. I've just told you how bad the motion controls are, how bad the townspeople are, how you move too fast and you really can't control everything because of everything that's going on, but everything becomes encompassed in this one little scenario. In one mission, you have to give townspeople rings. That's fine. Normal games would give you a goal like,
Make sure you have 80 rings by the end of the stage so the townspeople can eat or something.
Instead, you have to abruptly stop movement and engage in a tiny mini-game to give them the rings you've collected. It would have been terrible enough if you had to stop and push the Z button to give them rings. But sticking a stupid mini-game on top of that? Come on, what's the point of that? Combined with the lack of camera control, this entire mechanic is just one big sloppy mess. This is one of the most irritating gameplay elements I've ever come across in any Sonic game. The game designers actually developed a mechanic that slows down Sonic to a standstill. Guys, did you ever make or play a Sonic the Hedgehog game before this? Sonic's not designed to stop, Sonic's designed to go. Now, with all of that being said, clearly I'm not a big fan of this game. It's doing some really poor choices in the way that it's designed, but there are positives. Bear with me here, good ones that exist. Now in games like this with bad controls and all that other stuff I just mentioned, you tend to fail and die a lot, which can really suck. But one thing they did in this game that was really nice is that Sonic respawns super fast. It's kind of like Super Meat Boy. You die, you respawn, you keep on playing. And that's a nice feature because if you were already irritated by the game by dying all the time, at least waiting like a couple of minutes for Sonic to respawn isn't something you have to worry about. So, the first positive is Sonic respawns really fast. Now look, guys, King Arthur and Sonic the Hedgehog duking it out. That's a weird thing. It really is. I can't really understand where the concept of Sonic fighting King Arthur came from, but I will state this. Treating King Arthur like a villain is actually fairly interesting. King Arthur's always been this very heroic, perfectly aligned figure with goodiness, and it's cool to see King Arthur treated like a villain and done in that unique way. And that's kinda cool. I would actually like to see a movie or perhaps another video game that treats King Arthur like a villain because I think that's worth visiting again. So the second positive is that King Arthur is a villain. Now this game is loaded with a bunch of very interestingly peculiar characters, like the floating sword that talks to Sonic, which I guess is as weird as having a giant blue hedgehog talk as well, but whatever. The world is crazy, but no matter what, the cutscenes in this game look pretty good. Every time you see one of these characters, they're done in a very funny, interesting way, a little bit family-friendly, PC fun, but the watercolor work on these cutscenes looks really, really nice. I really like the way that they did this art style in the cutscenes because it just has this bright, vibrant color that I honestly wasn't expecting while getting into it. And despite the fact that these videos are in standard definition due to the Wii's limitation of not being in HD, they almost feel so sharp that I'm not even thinking about HD graphics. So that's really cool. If you are into really interesting cutscenes, and if you're a big fan of Sonic 2006, I really hope that's something you got out of it, then you might like the cutscenes in this game. So, positive number 3 is that this game has some really cool cutscenes done in watercolor. After playing Sonic 2006, I just assumed that Sega wasn't paying attention to the fan community that was out there, which is pretty crazy, because the Sonic the Hedgehog fan community is massive and very vocal, and really passionate about Sonic the Hedgehog. And I know, they've had a lot of bad games, but these guys and girls really do care a lot about this character and the adventures that this character has. So it was really nice to see Sega include something really cool in the extras feature of this game. You'll find a series of videos in the extras that showcase a bunch of fan art created by all the Sonic fans around the world. Now I know, this is weird. Why is this a positive? Well, this is a positive because it shows that Sega actually does appreciate their fans. They care about everybody that likes Sonic the Hedgehog, and it really just feels like they do want to do good by the fans, and they do want to make good games. And I think it's no surprise that directly after this game came out, we started to see some pretty solid Sonic games. Then Boom came out, but before that we had some good ones like Generations, and I think by them showing this fan art, they were paying attention to what the fans wanted. This right here is a symbolic gesture of how much they appreciated the fans and how they wanted to do right by them. So the fourth positive is that this game showcases some fan artwork from around the world. Is this the worst Sonic game I've ever played? No, it really isn't. Sonic 2006 I feel is a lot worse. But you know what is an interesting idea that went into this game? The whole concept of an evil Arthur. I think that idea would be a very good game unto itself without Sonic the Hedgehog. If some company out there wants to make a really cool game about an evil King Arthur where some random knight is trying to save Camelot from his reign, that would be a cool concept for a game, TV show, movie, series of books. That would have worked, but throwing Sonic the Hedgehog into the mix doesn't work. But if you want to play a game where Sonic wields a sword, for whatever reason, this is probably the only time that's ever gonna happen. So give it a shot and see what you think. And maybe you can find some more positives.